Sometimes loving also hurts. Pain is not always visible, and it does not always have to do with losing someone. It can arise when we feel that our voice is not heard, that our desires or our integrity are not respected. That discomfort can be felt in different parts of the body, and sometimes it appears suddenly. It may manifest as a diffuse uneasiness, an unexpected tension, or a fatigue you cannot quite explain. You may even attribute it to external situations without noticing that deep down it is connected to what you are truly experiencing. And although not everything in a relationship is perfect, because differences and disagreements are part of life as a couple, love should not hurt constantly. The suffering that comes from silence, indifference, or lack of empathy also hurts, but in a different way. It is a sign that something is not right, and it is important to recognize it. Feeling humiliated, mistreated, or ignored is not love. Loving does not mean enduring forever something that harms you, but building a bond where both people can grow, care for each other, and respect one another. Connection. Understanding pain in relationships. A healthy relationship is not sustained by fear, control, mistrust, or violence. Love stops nourishing itself when one of the two lives defensively feels watched or feels conditioned. Pain can also arise from the false expectations we place on the other person, expecting them to fill voids that only we ourselves can care for. And sometimes, without realizing it, we confuse love with need, with habit, or with emotional dependence. It is very likely that your emotions affect you, and sometimes this can make you feel trapped in the relationship. Loving can hurt when emotional dependence exists, a pattern that is difficult to recognize because sometimes we project our shortcomings onto the other person, and other times we try to communicate our needs, but the other responds with indifference, cruelty, or lack of respect. It may also happen that, in some relationships, behaviors that generate emotional pain become normalized, such as indifference, lack of respect, or the imposition of silence. Recognizing these dynamics does not mean accepting the harm, nor assuming that mistreatment is justifiable. Protecting your dignity and your well-being must always be a priority. Recognizing this is fundamental. It is not about provoking or acting as if everything you do is right, nor assuming that everything the other person does is wrong. It is about being aware of your own limits, emotions, and actions. Loving does not mean tolerating harm or justifying destructive behaviors. Recognizing when your boundaries are crossed is an important warning sign. Caring for your well-being and making conscious decisions is an act of self-care, not of guilt. Practice. Acupressure and conscious breathing. This practice is not intended to replace important decisions, but it can help calm the body and mind, giving you space to think with clarity and serenity. Sometimes, only when the body relaxes can the mind distinguish more clearly what it really needs. We will work with 2 points that help release emotional tension that often accumulates in the chest and abdomen, especially when emotional pain arises in the context of relationships where loving can also hurt. Taichung, level 5-3, Great Rushing. Location: on the top of the foot between the big toe and the second toe, about 2 centimeters above the web of the toes. How to do it. 1. Sit comfortably and bring one foot closer to you. 2. With your thumb, find the tender space between the first and second toes. 3. Apply gentle but steady pressure. 4. Inhale slowly through the nose. 5. Exhale through the mouth, imagining that frustration and emotional tension begin to soften. 6. Maintain gentle pressure as you breathe slowly and calmly. When you begin to feel a sense of ease, switch to the other foot. If you wish, mentally repeat, I release what hurts. I choose clarity and respect. Shenmen, HT7, Gate of the Spirit. Location. 1. Look at your little finger. 2. Imagine a straight line running down from the center of your little finger toward your wrist. 3. Slightly bend your wrist and notice the lines that form. 4. Use the line closest to your palm. 5. Where the imaginary line from your little finger meets that wrist crease. That is the point. How to do it. 1. With the thumb of your opposite hand, hand. Apply gentle but steady pressure to that point. 2. Inhale slowly through your nose. 3. Exhale gently, allowing your heart and mind to settle. 4. Maintain the pressure as you breathe slowly and deeply. Stay there as long as you need, until you feel your breathing soften or a sense of calm begin to appear. 5. Then switch to the other wrist. As you breathe, mentally repeat, I calm my mind, I listen to my truth with serenity. After the practice, remain in silence for a few moments. Notice how your breathing becomes deeper and more steady. Do not make decisions from agitation, but from clarity. True love is not measured by how much you endure, but by how much you care for yourself without ceasing to respect the other. No relationship should cost you your emotional health, dignity, or peace. Practicing calm helps you see more clearly, but decisions about your life and relationships must be made from reality, and if necessary, with professional guidance. This practice is a support, a moment of relief, a space for clarity. It is not a definitive solution. Remember that asking for help, talking to someone you trust, seeking therapeutic guidance, or turning to protective resources when mistreatment crosses your boundaries is also a form of self-care. Thank you for letting us accompany you today. Every conscious breath, every act of self-care is a way to return to yourself. Thank you for being here. If this message resonated with you, join us at Signs of Calm, your space to heal your body, mind, and energy.